G'day, this is information about your TCE and about the ATAR, and I'm also going to discuss criterion standards and how that applies to your TCE studies. So what you want to be able to do is to attain your TCE. What do you need to do in order to get there? So it talks about meeting the standards. In the first instance, you need to achieve everyday numeracy, literacy and ICT standards. And as well as that, you need to be able to participate and achieve at various levels over the 2 years. What does that mean in detail? Well, everyday skills standards, we talk about numeracy, literacy and ICT. Now some of your subjects have got numeracy requirements tick, literacy and ICT, some don't. You need to be able to make sure that when you plan, especially for your grade 12 subjects, that have all bases covered. And if that doesn't happen, you'll have to do some safety net testing, which just means an extra 90-minute test during exam time. You would have already come across the course planner, which outlines those ticks and those requirements. Now this is the course planner that you would have seen last year. When you choose your subjects, it'll come up to here to see whether you've got an ICT, numeracy or literacy requirement. You need to have those done over 2 years. If you don't have them done, you've got to do that safety net testing I'll talk to you about. But your TCE coordinator will alert you to that. As I've said, they will happen at the mid-year exams. They last for 90 minutes. If you don't pass the first time, then it'll cost you the second time. It's about $40–50. But ideally, you want to avoid this if you satisfy or plan your course accordingly. You can find out what you need to know on the TQA site in terms of what the minimum requirements are. In terms of participation and achievement, every subject is worth 15 points, every full year subject. And over 2 years, you must gain 120. So that's 8 lots of 15, 4 every year. So most people do 60 points a year. It does include vet subjects and higher achievement programs at the university, which also count for 15 points. So whatever you do there, as long as you have 4 subjects per year, it gets you the 420 points requirement. Let's talk about ATAR. Essentially, what you need to get into uni with, it's a score, usually, or it is out of 100. Now, in relation to the TQA, you count the best 5 that you do over the 2 years. You must include a minimum of 3 in year 12. Commonly, what people do, they have 2 from year 11 and 3 from year 12, but you can have other combinations as well. For example, you can have 1 for year 11 and 4 from year 12, or in extreme circumstances, you can have 5 in year 12, but that's not recommended and not very common. You only need a minimum of 4 subjects to attain an ATAR score. Obviously, your score will be a lot less. It'll be out of 80 rather than out of 100. And you can't score the same subject twice, even though you can do it, again, if you want. That's why I've said down here you can repeat a subject to gain a better score, but it can't count twice. There's this other thing called subject score scaling. It's used to identify the degree of difficulty for different subjects. Some subjects are deemed harder than others, and there's some complex mathematical formula that determines this. The important thing to realise is that it can vary year to year. There's some big changes from year to year. Some students think they can chase scores, if you like. It's not advisable. My advice still is to do the subject because you need it or you want to do it. But there's been some consistently higher scoring subjects like maths specialised and economics, which score usually around 25 or so. Here's a list from 2014. You can see what happens 2014 if you choose to go and have a look at the TQA site. Again, this is the same one, but you can also find ones for 2013 and so on. You can see here that there's some high scoring subject, housing design, economics, as I mentioned, is up the top, and maths specialised, and there's a few others there as well. But don't be guided by this, but it just gives you an idea that some subjects score more, and some instances people get a score over 100, which then needs to be scaled back, if you like, to a score out of 100, and that becomes your ATAR score. Now I want to talk to you about criterion award requirements. Every subject has got external criteria and internal. I'm going to use an example where there are 7 criteria in this course, of which 5 will be externally assessed. So 5 plus 7 equals 12 totally assessable criteria ratings that you get at the end of the year. In this instance, if you want to get an HA, for example, you must get 4 A's, 5 B's, 3 C's, but you must 2 of those must be on the exam, and you must get 2 B's on the exam and 1 C on the exam. That's a minimum requirement to get to HR. How does that relate into another way? Well, put this way, in order to get an HA, you must have 4 ratings, 2 of which on the exam, 5 ratings, 2 must be on the exam, 3 C ratings, 1 must be an exam. So if you get 1 D rating, you can't get a HA even if you've got a string of A's. Or if you get 2 C ratings on the exam, you also will only get a CA. That's important to remember. So it's important that you know what your combinations are in order to know what you're going for. Now this is a criterion statement for this particular subject. So you can see I talked to you about the HA ratings. Of course there's ratings for EA, CA, SA and so forth, and these are on every syllabus on the TQA, so have a look at yourself to find the appropriate one. Here's another combination. This is where you've only got 10 ratings all up. There's 6 internal, 4 external. So to get an HA you must have 8 and 2 and so on. To get a satisfactory achievement you've got 8 C's and 2 must be on the exam, which means that effectively 2 can be D's in this case. If you have any other questions or would like to comment about it or send me a message, then you can go to the Office 365, the Go247 site, and you can either go on the Gamma feed or find other important TQA information. Hopefully that's been useful to you, and I want to stress to you that this is a very important part of knowing how to succeed in your individual subject, but also how to succeed finally to get the best ATAR score that you possibly can.